Under the gloomy sky of modern times, amidst the chaotic storms that sweep away beliefs and hopes, we seem to be living in a series of strange events woven from the fragile threads of destiny and the eternal promises of God. In each heartbeat of humanity, the echoes of ancient warnings still resound like a call from the distant realms, reminding us that the decisive moment is drawing near. As we look around, we see countless wars, moral decay, and insatiable greed, all like dark patches gradually spreading across the portrait of humanity. Could this just be coincidence, or is it the unmistakable mark of a grand plan that the Most High has set in motion since the beginning of creation? The warning of Jesus, inscribed in the Bible, is the spiritual compass that guides those who still thirst for the truth amidst the multitude of lies in life. In Matthew 24:6-7, he said, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but do not let your heart be troubled, for all these things are only the beginning of sorrows." These words are not just a warning, but also a call for humanity to step out of the delusion of material life, to aim for a higher vision, where love and faith reign. Yet, in the hustle and bustle of life, when the light of love seems to be obscured by the wall of individualism and pride, we easily lose ourselves. I have witnessed many examples of people who seemed very successful. They had wealth, fame, and status. But then, one day, they realized that their souls were empty, dry, and devoid of compassion and faith. It is these stories that awaken me, making me realize that no matter how grand your empire may be, no matter how much wealth you accumulate, all will be meaningless without the flame of love and the sacred presence of God in your heart. That is also why we must seriously question ourselves. What am I living for? Am I preparing for the final hour when Christ returns? Because, as he said in 1 Thessalonians 4:16, he will return with the sound of a mighty trumpet, a glorious event so powerful that the entire universe will shake, and those who have trusted and lived according to faith will be lifted in glory, while those who deliberately deny the truth will face the darkness of regret. If we reflect on the story of the 10 virgins in Matthew 25:1-13, we can better understand the lesson of readiness. The 10 virgins, symbols of those who profess faith, each carried a lamp, but only half of them had prepared enough oil to keep the light of faith burning through the dark night. When the bridegroom came at midnight, only those who were ready were allowed to enter the wedding feast, while those who lacked oil were left outside. This serves as a warning to all of us that simply saying "I believe" without truly maintaining a sincere relationship with God is useless. Because when the decisive moment comes, we may not be able to find what we have prepared beforehand. Amidst the storm of information, when technology and social media surround our lives, we are increasingly prone to losing the connection to our spiritual roots. Time passes, and we slowly become immersed in work, in ambitions for fame and fortune, in fleeting pleasures, and forget to care for our souls. Satan does not need to tempt us to directly abandon God. He just needs to make us busy enough so that we no longer have time to pray, no longer have the quiet space to listen to the call of God. And then, when the storm strikes, when all the material fortresses we've built collapse, we are stunned to realize that we have gone too far astray and ask ourselves, have I forgotten what is most important? In reality, the chaos in the modern world is not limited to war or natural disasters. It is also clearly revealed through moral decay, as many trade their conscience for money, trade love for power. This is the backdrop predicted in 2 Timothy 3:4, that in the last days people will love pleasure rather than love God. Around us, the core values of morality are being overlooked. Relationships are becoming fragile, families are falling apart, and even those who profess faith could be swept into the whirlpool of sin if they do not stand firm on the foundation of faith. That is why this moment is more urgent than ever, requiring each of us to watch and pray as the Lord has commanded, so we are not caught in the snare of the enemy's temptations. Not only do the scriptures give us fragmented warnings, but they also show us a panoramic picture of the events that will unfold in the final days. In the book of Revelation, particularly in chapter 13, the Apostle John describes the appearance of the beast, the deception and its terrifying power, and how many people on earth will be swept into false worship, losing their connection with the Creator. When we read these verses, we can shudder as we realize that these are not just symbolic images of the past or distant future, but are gradually becoming a reality in today's world, where people are ready to worship money, technology, or even themselves, overlooking core moral values. In this context, maintaining faith and being awake is not only a wise choice, but also an urgent necessity for each person to discern right from wrong, to recognize the voice of God from the deceitful schemes of the enemy. Furthermore, the concept of the great deception has led many believers to mistakenly believe that they will be secretly removed from the world before the great tribulation actually occurs. But if we carefully read the Bible, we will see that Jesus never promised a secret departure. He warned that in this world you will have trouble, John 16:33, and his return will resound throughout all the earth. Every eye will see him, Revelation 1:7. Therefore, believing in a false doctrine that there is no need to prepare because we will disappear before disaster strikes only makes us more dreamy and vulnerable when facing real challenges. Instead of running away or fantasizing, we should prepare our inner selves. Keep the lamp of faith always shining, so that whenever the Lord comes, whether at midnight or midday, we will be ready to receive him. Yet, amidst the dull hues of current events, there is still hope shining for those who truly seek the truth. Remember the promise of the Lord in Matthew 24:14. The gospel of the kingdom will be preached in the whole world as a testimony to all nations, and then the end will come. This means that just before the great events unfold, there will still be a wave of the gospel spreading throughout the world. Thanks to technology, the internet, media channels, and especially passionate hearts, God's message can reach places that were once closed off and nations that have never heard his name before. Just as the disciples went everywhere to preach the gospel, today we are called to continue that great mission. Each person, whether great or small, rich or poor, can become a messenger of truth, bringing hope to those who are lost, waking up those who are asleep in the illusion of false security. That is why I always urge you, share this message with your loved ones, friends, colleagues, or anyone who longs to find light in the darkness. We do not know how much time is left, and no one can guarantee what tomorrow will bring. But one thing is certain: every moment we hesitate could cause a soul to miss the chance for salvation. You may not be a preacher or a theologian, but if you have faith and a desire to help, you can still become a small torch shining in the long night, helping someone find their way back to God. When it comes to spiritual awakening, many people are often hesitant, afraid of being seen as fanatic or dreamy. But remember, true faith is not blindness, it is true freedom. This faith allows us to face challenges with courage, allows us to love our enemies, and allows us to sacrifice for the benefit of others without calculation. A heart full of faith is a heart that has no room for hatred, jealousy, or despair, because it has been filled with the love of God. And because of this, faith cannot be mere words. It requires action, sacrifice, and the willingness to step out of the comfort zone. Just like Abraham in the Old Testament, who was willing to leave his homeland, willing to obey God even when it seemed illogical. Like Moses, who led the Israelites through the Red Sea with faith. Like the saints throughout the history of the church who endured suffering, even when their lives were threatened, to maintain their faith in the Creator. They are all examples showing that true faith never stands still, but is always active, daring to face difficulty and ready to pay the price to protect the truth. I want to repeat the call: watch. To be awake does not mean to fear or be confused about the future. On the contrary, it is a proactive attitude, knowing to place God above all priorities, knowing to dedicate time to pray and meditate on the scriptures, knowing to consider each daily decision to see whether it brings us closer to or farther away from God's will. Being awake also means valuing the core values of the gospel, such as love, forgiveness, humility, and the spirit of service. When we live with this mindset, the world around us may be chaotic, but within our hearts there is peace, because we believe that God is steering the ship of life. And when the final storm rises, when all worldly things are swept away, the souls that have been filled with oil, who are ready, will shine in the dark night like everlasting stars. Someone asked me, how can we maintain our faith in a time full of deception? The answer lies in your own heart. Start by dedicating a few minutes each day to be still, read the Bible, pray, and seek a sincere relationship with God. Actively connect with faithful communities where you can be encouraged and share spiritual experiences. Avoid temptations and sins that may quench the flame of faith. If you stumble, remember that God's grace is always open, and if you sincerely repent, He will welcome you back. Each of these small steps, when accumulated over time, will become a solid foundation for the building of your faith, helping you stand firm against all the storms of life. As for concrete actions, I encourage you not only to keep your faith to yourself, but also to spread it. You can start by sharing positive stories, Bible lessons, or even your personal experiences on social media, with friends and with family. Let them see God's light reflected through your life, through your behavior, and through the kindness and forgiveness you extend to those around you. A small action, a word of encouragement at the right time, can become a glimmer of light that helps someone find the meaning of life. And now, as the prophetic clock silently ticks down, ask yourself, am I ready? Do not let laziness or the illusion of endless tomorrows stop you. Have the courage to declare your faith. I believe in God's perfect timing, because He has laid out a plan that will never fail. Believe that, even though life may seem chaotic, everything is under the control of the Most High, and His prophecies will certainly come to pass at the right time. This is the final call I want to send to you. Share this message, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss future updates. Spread the gospel, because you never know who might be struggling in despair, but could find the light of hope through your words. Be steadfast. Keep the lamp of faith burning brightly, for when you least expect it, the bridegroom will come, and only those who are ready will be able to enter the heavenly banquet. Those who delay, those who rely on their wealth or power, will regret when the door shuts and darkness covers them. But the good news is that right now, you still have the opportunity to change, to repent, to start a new journey with God, where you will no longer be bound by fear, by the past, or by the vanity of the world. From this moment on, your life can become a living testimony to the transformative power of faith, and that is the most precious thing you can offer to the Creator. Time is running out, but His grace is still there. What will you do with that grace? Seize it and live a complete life, so that when the final trumpet sounds, you will not regret but will join millions of holy souls in praising God, receiving eternal joy in His kingdom.